What is going on, everybody? Back again for another episode of Sunday Reset with Will and Friends. And you know her, you love her, my friend, Rachel Jamieson, has graciously come back on the podcast to bring her expertise in therapy back to our show. Rachel, welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And hello, everyone.
For the handful of people who choose to actively keep going, I love
Glad
you
you're
all
here.
very. Yeah, we're so glad you're here. Oh my God. The fact that we get to just do this is awesome. So, regardless, whether anyone listens or not, I just love that we get to have these times together.
Yeah, I usually leave with like a new perspective. You give me a lot to think about. So yeah, I'm excited to see where today takes us.
See, don't give yourself like the lack of credit there, because like you're the one that's leading the expertise. I'm just some guy with a microphone, and some reason people listen to me sometimes that's wild to me, but they should actually listen to people like you. But no, this is why I'm glad that we're having this conversation, because you and I were talking about this beforehand, and to me, something that I struggle with, and I know my therapist, if she, I don't know if she listens to this or not, but I would love to know if she does. She would never tell me, but I struggle with the fact that, like, I think half my problem is that I'm too self-aware.
Mm.
Like, I'm too conscious of what's happening all of the fucking time. And so I struggle because I'm sitting here and I just know all this stuff, and I think about it way too often. And so then when I talk to you, then I at least feel a little bit better about myself, because
I,
you have all the knowledge, actually. I'm just making it up.
well, and I am always down to validate. So, but yeah, that's it really. I know I had mentioned it earlier, but like when we talked earlier, but like for me, sometimes as a therapist, it's a hard position to be in when your patient or your client is so self-aware, because then the foundation there is really good and you have a really great understanding of the what and the why and the how. So usually it's like the implementation then is where the struggle is. And because of the self-awareness too, then half the time it's like, oh, well, that's, if I give a suggestion, it's like, well, that's not going to work because of these reasons, right? Like, how does it tend, like, how do you tend to navigate that, your self-awareness?
You know, I think there's how I used to navigate it, which is that I would spiral.
Mm,
That's the honest answer. And
fair.
then today, I still have the capacity to spiral. I would say that how I navigate it now, I make a active choice to realize what's reality and what's made up in my head. I make it
Yeah.
an active choice to go, are we sure that's actually what's happening, or is most of this just details we added for additional context because our brain makes us think that?
Yeah. Yeah. Th-
That's a good place
You
to
know,
start.
yeah, no, and I think, I certainly can't say like statistically if this is accurate, but observationally, now that I'm thinking about it, I have, I'm a therapist and I do some life coaching things, and I have a whole caseload full of like very high performing, high achieving patients who have been that way since like children, right? Like you think about maybe even we were talking before we got on here, right? The accelerated reading program that you did as a kid, right? Like that starts in elementary school, and then you go to high school and you do the AP classes or the IB classes, and then you go and do so great in college, and like, it's kind of this thing that we learn as kids. You get a prize for doing good, and I think the sometimes it's those people who also are the most like self-aware or like too self-aware, and that can be what gets in their own way, because then a little bit of that perfectionism can come in, a little bit of that people pleasing can come in, and then the spiraling can happen. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, you're writing the novel that I never wrote. I'm just kidding.
Oh, okay.
But like it's a huge part of it. It's like
Yeah.
it's you. Ah, man, I don't even know. Like I could pull on so many threads there. I think the biggest thing though, like from like my experience going down a similar path of that, was that like I realized that so much of the things, of the outcomes that you're describing, like the
Yeah.
achievements,
Yeah.
I wanted that because of what I was worried about other people would think about me.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had to live up to these expectations because otherwise people would think I'm stupid or
Right.
they would think I'm not worthy or they think all these things. And it never once dawned on me until I got much older and in a much darker place. But and after the fact, looking back on it, like going, huh, did anyone actually would anyone have actually cared if I
Right.
didn't get that grade or I didn't I mean like truly, how much of a
What would
real
it have
difference was it gonna
changed?
make? Right.
Yeah.
All anyone actually needed of me was to be a decent human being, which for a portion of my life I was not.
Mm.
So you got to live with that. I was kind of a dick, and and it was unnecessary, and I was very hard on myself, and I needed
Yeah.
everyone to know how smart I thought I was, and all these things. And it's like because that's how I earned your love, as opposed to
Yes.
being just a good person.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, even as I'm thinking too, for some people, it is that like sometimes it's a lack of like your own security, emotional stability, predictability, even, right? So then it's like, yeah, exactly to your point. If I don't do these things, then how will I be shown love? How will I have earned love? Um, and then again, that feeds into that perfectionism and people pleasing and people pleasing in a different way than maybe kind of we think about it sometimes. It's not like doing the thing because we don't want them to not be our friend. It's like doing the thing because it regulates their emotions. And if we can regulate their emotions, then that means we are safe and happy. Like that old saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. It's like if we can regulate that, then also everything is good and everything is calm. And I am a quote unquote like good boy or good girl, or good person.
That's the thing though, is like for me, I would say that was more true with my friends.
Well, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, like when I think about my own family dynamic, I wanted to achieve in front of them for much different reasons. But when I got older, I cared far more about what my friends thought of me than I
Hmm.
did my family. So when my first thought about that whole perfectionism and everything actually has nothing to do with the family dynamic, it has everything to do for me personally, it's my friends. It's the people in my life that I like, for lack of a better phrase, like I opted into spending time with. Not to
Yeah.
say that I wouldn't
Yeah.
opt in to spend time with my family, but you know what I mean? Like
Yes.
your friends are people you choose. They didn't have to be there. You were born into a family.
Yeah, actually, and that makes sense too to me if you think about kind of like just developmentally, right? Like eventually family isn't our whole like world and our whole life, right?
Sure.
Because then we seek that validation and connection from friends and then dating and all the stuff down the line. Um so yeah, that makes sense too cuz also if you can show up in this way, then that means they're not going to abandon you, right? Like if you can do those things to please and satisfy the relationship and regulate their emotions, it's another day with a friend.
That's what I mean. So when
Yeah.
you said it, like you went to the family thing. Honestly, when you were describing that moment, I my first thought was actually more friends, and you said dating, like same thing with like partners in the past. With me,
Yeah.
um, I I just wanted acceptance. I wanted love. I wanted appreciation. I wanted respect. I wanted all of these things, and so I felt like the only way that I could get that
Yeah.
is if I'm exceptional. And sure, I mean, some of that also applies to my family too. But like
Sure.
again, like
Yeah.
my first gut instinct when you were describing that wasn't my family; it was my friends that I wanted that from. And so it's like if I'm not all of these things, then why on earth would they ever waste their time with me?
Somebody today, when I was seeing patients, somebody asked me, they're brand new to therapy. And one of the programs that I work with also has like health coaching that goes with it and life coaching or whatever. And they're asking what's the difference between therapy and coaching. And this would be the perfect example because if this was a therapy session, the next question I have for you is if that's how you felt about friends and dating relationships, right? Like, well, you learned that at some point, right? So at some place you learned that that is what you had to do in order to have that emotional safety and security. So then you take the deep dive there in therapy and say, okay, well, how and why did I learn this? And like, if I'm still doing that now and it doesn't feel good, what can I do different?
So then my question for you then is how would that change if it was coaching?
Oh, that's such a great question. That's I'll tell you transparently, I had a hard time answering it when that person asked me today because because the way that I do therapy and coaching, it basically kind of intertwines. Like it's to me, it has to go together. I don't know how to talk about therapy without coaching and vice versa. But I think the like textbook answer is with coaching, you say, okay, here's the pattern I have and the thing I'm doing. Coaching, we don't ask why, we don't try to figure it out. We say, okay, well, go try XYZ so you can do different and like report back. Did that work for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I've always looked at it as like coaching is way more actionable and things like that, whereas therapy is more like all encompassing of the mind. And there's so many other layers to it. Cause like your follow up question was fair. It's like, cool, that's your reality, but like, how did we get there?
Right. Right.
Whereas like coaching is like, you're here, let's come up with a clear action plan for
But
that. And you'll still have action plans when you do therapy, but
no,
it's just a
it's
little different.
it is, yeah, and my background, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, so I was trained in a very social worky sort of way, and my very first job out of grad school was, um, at a methadone clinic, and it was essentially I always thought of it like speed dating. It was like speed therapy, right? Because you come in as very solutions focused. Half the people didn't want to be there, right? Um, and so
Because were they typically
yeah,
like court mandated in that scenario?
actually only like probably only like a handful of them were. Everybody else was there by choice, whether it was that it was feeding into the addiction or if they actually wanted to make change. But
Okay.
yeah, if you ever watch, it's old now, but that TV show on Hulu, I think it's Dope Sick with Michael Keaton.
Oh yes. Oh
It
yes.
that is exactly how the methadone clinic scene worked for a while. So it's a great resource from the harm reduction standpoint. But anyway, yeah, it is. I think doing that right out of grad school is why I really ended up developing the coaching piece, and I think it's really valuable. Exactly to your point, because some people don't want to go to therapy and be like, okay, here's my problems, or use the whole time to just kind of like either vent or like basically hear themselves talk out loud. That doesn't feel satisfying when you leave. So, like, I mean, for some people, it doesn't feel satisfying when they leave. So, when you come, if you can do the deep dive and then say, okay, here's the action thing that you can do and go apply that and see how it goes, like that feels proactive. That feels empowering. That feels like you're doing something that's in your control. You know what I mean?
It does. It does. Some people, I do think it's interesting the way you worded that, though. You were like, some people want to hear themselves talk out loud, because I definitely have had sessions with my therapist. For those, again, just to be clear, Rachel is not my therapist. It may seem that way sometimes in these episodes, but I assure you, I've been asked that question multiple times. Like, is Rachel your
Funny.
therapist? And
I'd
I'm
be
like,
honored. Yes.
no.
We're
I was like,
too close. Yeah.
no. I don't think that would fly. I think there's got to be like you would get
I
some
think you're
type
doing a
of
good job,
notification.
Yeah.
I don't think you're supposed to record your sessions and share them publicly. I don't think that's how that's supposed to go. But I mean, yeah, no. So yeah, just to be clear for anybody listening, Rachel is not my therapist. She's just a therapist who I consider a friend, who I consider an advisor. My therapist, God help her, would never want to do this ever. She's great. I did get to meet her at a T-Pain concert though, for the first time in person. That's an incredible piece of information about my therapy.
Wow. That is, I can't, we'll have to talk about that at a different time. Because I can't imagine how that experience is. Just to like see them outside of the room.
No, no. So that's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing. My therapist, I won't say her name. She is in my town, but we got linked up in the midst of COVID, so we were doing virtual, and then we've just never not done virtual. It's easier for her, it's easier for me, so we have never not done virtual. Although her office and where I live are not terribly far apart, we just have never done it. And we have joked 1,000 times at therapy, like we're just gonna run into each other like out and about, and it's just never happened. And then we're at T-Pain,
Wild.
and I look in front, like I'm in this section back here, and she's in the section like in front, but I can see her. She's on the edge, and I'm on the edge, and I look and I go, "Is that?" I think and I look at my wife and I go, I think that's my therapist." And then she's like, "Really?" And so I shot her an email and I just said T-Pain question mark. And thankfully she happened to see it and she's like, "Yes, come say hi." And I was like, "Okay." And then I did. And I came over and I said hi. And then I like looked at her friends and was like, "I'm sure there will be a conversation that happens about me after I leave. That is totally within bounds and that's totally fair. And I understand. I'm gonna leave now."
This,
Because you have to explain how you know me and it doesn't hurt my feelings, is what I'm saying.
that's really, I just think that's really, just kind of really special. I used to run into patients at the uh, we'd go to the same bars, so that was
That's
a
what
little
we
bit.
assumed would happen. We would see
Yeah.
each other at a bar or something, and it just never did. So then T-Pain.
T-Pain, that's like a 10 out of 10. I tell my patients all the time now, I don't know what I would do if I actually finally met them, like, if I was to have a run-in, because I think I would freak out by however tall they are. Like, you know, like, people I've known for years now, I don't I are you 10 feet tall? Are you
Wait, how
4
tall are
feet
you?
tall? I'm 5'5" and a half.
Okay. So you're not like you're not short, but you're not particularly tall.
Some might say that, yeah. I feel kinda tall, but yeah. Yeah, no,
I mean,
I'm just
you
like,
are. That's what I'm saying. Like
just
you're
kidding, I'm just
average. I would say
average,
you're.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like it
Very,
depends.
very.
My wife is only 5'3", so you are
Oh,
taller than her.
she's tiny.
My mom is 5 foot even, and she listens to this. So mom, love you. But yeah, 5 foot even. I've been taller than my mom since I was like 9 years old.
Wow. Wow. That's you know, it just it is, I do think there's something special though about running into therapists at T-Pain, like, it's just really cool, and I think too, if anybody is listening that is considering therapy or even life coaching, certainly not all obviously, right? Not all providers are created equal, and some you may have sent that email to a different therapist, and they would have never responded, they would have had a talk with you the next session about,
About
like.
boundaries and
Right.
understanding.
Right, and then here I would have done exactly what she did, just it speaks to the respect of the relationship in a different way, right? Like, yes, of course, come and say hi because why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, I would have respected anything.
Yeah.
To be fair, we had the conversation of if you see me, it's okay.
Yes.
It was just
Yeah.
because it was a concert, and I was like, I don't know if you're in a particular like zone,
Mhm.
and I was like, I don't want to mess with that. If you're like with a certain group of people, because you all agreed, we just always had a general, like, hey, if we run into each other out, it's okay.
Yeah.
Come say hi. Most people in my life know what I do for a living. It's fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was just funny. I did not expect this conversation to go this route. Yeah. So my therapist, if you do happen to listen, please bring it up at our next session. That would be hilarious. She knows I do all of this,
Yes.
and
Oh,
she's a, she's a
good. Yeah.
she's a big fan, and she's loved she's been around since the beginning. She gets all of it. She was there before the book came out. Like
Wow.
she thinks this is really cool. And so she's a big fan. So yeah, but I don't think she's a fan of the idea. I doubt she actually listens.
You know, it's I will say kind of from where we started to that hyper productivity, high performing person, like, who is, like, way overly self-aware, right? Like, once from the provider side, like, once you see your patient or your client or whatever starting to, like, do the things, take those steps to, like, expand their life and, like, essentially create the bigger world for themselves. I mean, it is just so cool. So, yes, I'm sure she's very proud and excited and also, like, I don't know, I'm thinking, like, transferable skills, right? Like, it's a way to use that high performing and high achieving and hardworking thing to, like, do a thing that actually feels good rather than spiral and feel guilty that you're not doing enough, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge part of this is like,
Yeah.
everything that we've been talking about with like the idea of like being that person that like feels this obligation to the world and stuff. It's like we're also a human being at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like that's the part that I would love to go back and shake. I would love to go back and shake that little kid and just go, hey, listen, everyone that you're so worried about, guess what? They're just as insecure as you are. They just are
Yeah.
better at hiding it sometimes. And that's
Yeah.
okay. Or maybe you're better at hiding it than they realize. I don't know the answer to that. But what I
Yeah.
do know is like they're human, you're human, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always okay. Even if it really actually on paper is the worst, it's still okay because it's where you are and sort of trusting that you either have the tools and the resources to ask for help or trusting that you will know what to do when you're in that place, you know?
Well, the line I always use in that is like, if you're listening and you're finding yourself in a position where you're like, I'm in that really dark place. I don't feel like it's gonna get better. My answer to that is, you have literally survived every single worst day of your life. Every
Yeah.
single one. You are 100 out of 100 of all the days where you were like, I don't know if I can get past this. You're here.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
weren't, you wouldn't
Stats
be
look
listening to
good.
this. So believe in yourself. You need a stack of evidence to prove otherwise. You already have that. You're just not giving yourself enough credit for it.
Yeah. And certainly, I mean, I'm reminded all the time of, like, sometimes when we are in that place, right, you forget you have options. You forget what you have control over, even if it's, I'm gonna have 30 grams of protein at breakfast today, and the rest of the day is gonna be on fire, but, like, I have control of this one thing, and that is gonna help me fuel my body in a way that's gonna support my mental and physical health. Okay, great.
Well, it's like you and I were
No.
talking about this because for those who don't know, there's a period of time not too long ago and a couple months ago where I was in a little bit of a not fun period of my life, and I was just not in a big funk. While Rachel is not my therapist, I did just as a friend talk to her about stuff, and one of the things we talked about was coming up with those non-negotiables
Yeah.
and being, if nothing else, these are going to get done today because it gives you a sense of centering yourself. It gives you a sense of accomplishment because you got through
Yeah.
those things, you accomplished those things, especially if you start at first thing in the morning. And so I still do those, even
Y
though now I'm in a better place. I still do them every
yeah.
morning. I wake up at the same time. I go to the gym. I have my vitamin routine. I have all the things that I do, and I start my day on the same wavelength every day because I like it. Because it gives me a place to feel. And I'm someone who rejected routine for so long because I'm like, you basic ass person that can't variate from it. And I realize now I still think some of that is true for some people that I cannot ever deviate from the
Right.
plan. There's an unhealthy obsession with that. But for me personally, I find that because I have that routine, it actually gives me more freedom
Yeah.
to
Yes.
be creative and stuff because I know I took care of business.
Yeah. Yeah. I I have, I don't think this is a hip of reach. Have somebody that I've worked with for a little while who, had at one point before I knew them, they had to do, inpatient or not inpatient, but, intensive outpatient treatment for depression, and, is now, like, light years away from that, and it's been, like, a very beautiful journey, and one of the things they talk about is when they were doing that, you have to go to group several times a week. It's pretty, I mean, they call it intensive for a reason, and, I think the example she gave is like you had to pick a thing that you were going to do every day, right? And, for her, it was like emptying the cat, litter or whatever. And the idea was that how you kind of connect it to gratitude. Anyway, long story short, essentially, I was like, every day, this was stupid and I hated it. And why am I doing it? And then I wake up one morning and I'm like, oh, wait, at least I did the cat litter today. You know what I mean? It's that consistency too and pushing through that place so you can grow and then you feel like, okay, at least I did this, right? It's a
Yeah.
little bit of the proud that comes with it.
Right. There's a sense of pride and a sense of accomplishment and be like,
Yeah.
okay, I did this no matter
Yeah.
what. No matter how bad the
Yeah.
day goes, you can look back and go, okay, but I still managed to do this, which is better than not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's why I tell people like, if you follow me on Instagram and stuff, people know that I've been on a little bit of like a weight loss journey and I'm down like 30 pounds and I'm really proud of what I've accomplished. But I would say to anybody that's getting started, it's like they get so caught up in like, what type of workout should I do or certain things like that. And I go, going at all is
Yeah.
still better than not going. I
Yeah.
used to talk myself out of like, oh, I slept in too late. So now I only have this much time. And then I would just talk myself out of the workout altogether because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I can't get the perfect workout. Guess what? Going and doing one thing is still better than not going at all.
Yeah, I mean, the research shows too, even the increase in like self-efficacy and confidence in yeah, and just kind of your self-esteem, it is exactly that. It's the getting out of that all or nothing headspace and like do the something. Because then when you go to sleep at night, you're like, well, at least I did that thing. At least I drank my, 80 ounces or however much of water you're supposed to drink. So I think the to this point, I just feel like important to add that like when you're looking at if you're in a place where you're trying to figure out how can I even apply this to my life? And I'm gonna get on the high performing, high achiever people just one more time. Not everything has to be productive. And so kind of keeping in mind that idea of like all or something and like less is more. And if it is just like every day I'm gonna hit my protein goal or I'm going to hit my water goal or I got somebody who every day she takes herself and sits on the porch and she looks out over the mountain for 10 minutes and that's it. Right. And so the intention behind it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be super time consuming. It's just something that you're doing for yourself. You get what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah.
specifically, I want to pull on the thread of it doesn't have to be expensive. Oh my God. The amount of people in
Ugh.
the lifestyle and wellness world who are like, but you got to do this specific thing and you got to do
Oh,
all this stuff. And it's like, listen, if you can afford to do all those things and they benefit you, by all means, I'm supportive. I'm not here to bash anybody's stuff. But if you're getting a decent amount of vegetables and fruits and meat and you're moving your body on to some degree, even if you can't afford a gym membership, that's okay. Go outside for a walk.
yeah. Yeah. It
It's
is.
better than not.
Yeah, no, it's wild, and even to that point, I have a lot of patients who, are in Washington State, and we all know, like, Washington's rainy, and it's winter, so it's dark, and it's kinda cold. The number of times I so hate to say that it's this simple and it's this true, but, I even talked to somebody yesterday who was they took themselves to Florida for a weekend. Sunny old Florida, and she came back and she was like, I actually don't feel depressed anymore. It's just she went to Florida, she did a lot of walking around and, like, had time with friends, and it that's why I believe in the getting back to basics because that's how we support our mental health. I mean, it's tried and true.
Yeah, it's been around for centuries. I mean, there's you
It's
get
really
it's amazing what yeah, Jim Carrey had a great bit about this. He said, I believe depression. I'm paraphrasing, but he said something to the
mm,
effect of, I believe depression is real, but if you're not taking care of yourself, if you're not getting a dose of sunshine, if you're not, exercise, if you're not doing this, you're not giving yourself a fighting chance.
yeah, exactly.
And it's
Exactly.
like if we just acknowledge that, like, if you can find a way, if nothing else, if you take one thing away from this episode, please hear this. If you can find a way to work towards a goal that you love, that you're passionate about, that you enjoy, move your body a little bit and have some things that make you feel proud of yourself, you won. That's it.
Yep. Yep.
You won at life. That's it. Forget what social media tells you for all the things you have to do. Stop it for a second. Move your body a little bit. Try to eat something halfway decent and work on something that lights a fire in you. If you have all those three things, oh, and you know what? What really helps me a lot. Have a partner who supports you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and even if, like, we could do a whole other episode on the horrors of dating that it is,
Well, that's
nowadays,
gonna be our
but,
next episode.
you
And
know, but it
it's
it
gonna be our
is,
next
like,
episode.
even if you don't have access to a partner, right? Like, that's a great opportunity that, man, maybe in some ways it's even better because now you can do whatever you want to figure out connection, right? Like, it's phone a friend or join something community wise that gives you that fulfillment and that connection. It doesn't have to be volunteer. Like, I don't know, join the running club, start an art class. Like, who cares? But yeah, if you're looking for ways to feel supported, like I said, yeah, dating is hard, and so there's other
But
outlets. Yeah,
there's other ways to get community. There's other ways to get
totally.
that stuff. I just happen to say, like, if you do happen to find a supportive and healthy partner, it's the greatest life hack you'll ever have.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I know that it's not that simple, and my wife and
Yeah.
I would be the first to admit it wasn't for us either.
That's
Uh, but when you do find it, it's incredible. So I want that for everybody. But if you can't, in the interim, like, build a community, have a goal you care about, try to eat somewhat healthy
yeah.
if you can, and move your body a little bit, and then the rest will figure itself out. As Rachel likes to say, get back to basics.
Get back to basics, friends. Yes. Yeah. You said it. It really, the only thing I'll add is, yeah, if you do those things, then it slowly but always surely opens up your world to be able to not only feel better, and when we feel better, we may be more inspired or encouraged to try other things, but then also you never know who you're going to meet, right? You never know who you're going to get connected with because if you're feeling better and you're creating community, maybe all you get out of it is that you learn a new skill. Maybe all you get out of it is a new friend for coffee. Like, isn't that quite a lot?
That's still better than not, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
You and I wouldn't even know each other if both of us didn't try to find some passion outside
That's
of what
true.
we were doing in our day life, and then we
Yeah.
just crossed paths, and now I consider you a really good friend, someone I reach out
Same,
to for
man.
advice and thoughts, and so that's what happens when you work on something you give a shit about.
Gifts. Yeah. Total gifts.
Absolutely. You are a gift in my life, and I can't thank you enough.
Same. Same, man. Thanks so much for having me. I feel like I have so much more I want to ask you about and, like, talk about, and So I
Well,
just
that's
am
why
so grateful for our
you're
times
the
to be here.
only recurring guest, just so we're clear. Just hold yourself in that esteem. You are
Keep
the
our list
only
going.
recurring guest that we have right now. And I love that. And I want to keep it that way. Who knows, it could change, but for now, you are my go-to recurring guest because I love your expertise, I love your perspective, and I love the friendship we've built over the last few years.
Same. Yeah, thank you so much for having me, and yeah, I do not take that position lately, so I'll keep trying to, earn my keep, you know?
And in case anyone has not familiar with you, where can they find you?
If you're following Will, I'm sure then you're following him on Instagram. You can poke around and find me there, probably the easiest. It's Back to Basics, BACK, the number 2. Back to Basics Therapy LLC, um, website Back to Basics Therapy LLC, Rachel Jamieson LCSW. You just Google me, and hopefully none of the bad stuff will come up, and only the good. Only the just kidding. I shouldn't have too many bad things out there. But yeah, yeah, and also you can always just message Will, and Will can connect you.
100%. I will gladly do that. My promo code. No, I'm just kidding. There's no
Yeah,
promo code.
yeah.
There's no promo. Just kidding. All right. And as always, everyone, be kind to each other, and we'll see you next time.